I'm here with actor Darren Lipari, who is going to be starring in the newly titled 21 Bridges, formerly known as 17 Bridges.
Yes.
Before we talk about that film, though, let's talk a little bit about when you first decided you wanted to become an actor, and what steps did you take? Did you go to college for it? Did you get any blowback from wanting to do it as a career?
Well, it actually, I really didn't start thinking about becoming a serious actor, if you will, until I was about in my mid-20s.
Mm-hmm.
But I grew up in a performing arts household. So I think there was always this encouragement to perform. My parents were both, my mom was a voice teacher, still is a voice teacher. My father was also a singer, but he was also on radio and television as a reporter. So I think there was always this kind of love of performing and entertaining. But then I think I kind of pulled back from that. I discovered film like in about my junior or senior year of high school. So I went to film school. I didn't go to a conservatory to be an actor or anything like that. And then finally, when I started doing some internships out of film school, like in the real world, I went to LA for about a semester. I was like, man, I really want to do that. Yeah. I love being behind the camera, and I still make films, and I love that. But there was this kind of urge inside of me, like I didn't feel like a personal satisfaction internally. So after I got back from out of film school, I was living in Long Island. I was kind of working restaurant jobs, and I was really just like, let me take some acting classes in Long Island. And I really started to enjoy it, and then I moved into the city. And then a few years later, I got an agent. And to be honest with you, I was kind of surprised because I didn't have much training. And so I said, okay, I got an agent, and this was about in my late 20s. Actually, no, I signed with my agent on my 30th birthday, believe it or not. And
Good sign.
Yeah, it was great. It was really cool. I still remember it this day. But what happened was I started going out for some parts. I always knew I had a natural ability, and I think part of the appeal for me was that I didn't have so much training, that it wasn't holding me back, because sometimes you get so much training, you get in your head.
You could be over-polished.
Over-polished, and that's a great word, because I even find myself, even about 4 or 5 months ago, where it was like, oh, that audition might have been a little polished. I didn't, I always feel good when, I do the work and I kind of leave it away, and then I walk out and I'm like, yeah, I really, wasn't in your head. So what happened was, I'm kind of meandering a bit, but I got an agent, I started getting some parts here and there, but then there was also a part of me where it's like, okay, how high is my ceiling gonna be if I really don't get some serious training?
Right.
Because there is a thing to being prepared, and like there is a difference of auditioning and then when you're on set and you do have to do a lot of work and you are kind of, doing larger roles. So I ended up finding a great teacher in a conservatory called Terry Knickerbocker Studios, who is widely known now for working with Sam Rockwell. He's been working with Sam Rockwell for his whole career.
Who's that?
Yeah.
Teasing.
And Emmy Rossum and Boyd Holbrook, and I think he also helped Zac Efron when Zac Efron played Ted Bundy. So I studied with him for a few years, and and also Coach, he actually helped me on this film that we're going to be talking about. So kind of with all of that, it was really just just kind of step by step, where it was like, okay, I for me personally, like I knew where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do, and I just felt that for me to have the confidence and the self-assured and just the background and the experience, I wanted to get more training. But again, what I said, I originally really got representation at I don't want to say quick, but it was kind of a thing where, I didn't have much training. I think I just had a natural ability and maybe a look. Definitely a blue collar look, which was good for New York.
Right.
And
there's so many shows that now film here, just with the advent of Netflix filming more series here, and just all the other streaming platforms that have shows that are filming here. It's really expanded horizons for actors here in New York.
Yeah, it's been great. I think I started look, I always say, oh, it would have been nice to start earlier as an actor. But at the same time, I don't really think like that, where it's like, oh, I should have done this, blah, blah, blah. I think you do things at the time you do them.
Right.
And if you're ready for that, you're ready for that. So, but that being said, what we were just talking about, I do think it was a nice time to start where there was such a surplus of shows. Because for a while, it was just the Law and Orders. I think I might have the first job I really did was like As the World Turns, which shot out by Kings Highway in Brooklyn. So I did a few lines on that, which was like a huge deal for me. I was so excited to be the elevator repairman, breaking up somewhat a romantic scene in between two people in the elevator.
Can't get more blue collar than that, right? So you had the blue collar look right from.
Yeah.
In saying that though, that's also something you don't want to be pigeonholed and typecast as one thing. So how did you kind of try to jump the gun on that and not get yourself pigeonholed into a certain type of part? And I don't mean plumbers.
No, of course.
Just mean
Well, I've auditioned for. Yeah, well, here it's funny you bring up a plumber, but it's like right now, I guess there is still a certain thing where I have booked a lot of the same type of, or at least a blue collar type of thing. Mm-hmm. But what happened was, which was great, was I kind of worked with a gentleman named John Dapolito, who kind of talks about, he works with an acting, it's called the actor's niche. Mm-hmm. And we really worked a lot together, like, okay, like, if you're going to be a plumber, I don't mind being a plumber or a detective or whoever it might be. Let's be really more specific about that, who that is. Right. So basically it went from me maybe going in to play a cop, but now it's like, look, I'm going in for a cop who's kind of a troubled, traumatic character who's in the middle of an identity crisis or existential crisis. Right.
Well, that's the difference of being typecast and giving layers to a character.
Exactly.
So there's a difference there.
Yeah. So once I kind of went through that program, that really empowered me to sit down with my representation and to really talk about, give examples of what type of roles I wanted to go in for. Because to be honest with you, I think it's really hard for me or for anyone to be like, oh, this is my type, this is who I am. Like, I think we have an idea, but then you don't really, because when I first started out, I never thought I'd be doing all these blue collar, law enforcement types. Like, I just was never that, to be honest with you, that's not really who I saw myself as.
Right.
But now that I know, John helped me, it's like, it's great. I am going out for different types of characters. Like I went in for a white supremacist character, or I went in for a plumber for Chicago Fire, but he was a guy whose house burned on fire, and then he found out that his wife was the one who set the arson, and it's a whole thing. So there's a lot of layers. Exactly. So that is something that I'm really excited for, and again now with some of the rep I have now, they are really pushing for different type of roles and seeing kind of what I bring to it and what my niche brings to it, just my natural essence of who I am.
Did you book the role as the white supremacist?
I didn't. No, I didn't book that.
That would be a heavy thing to play.
Yeah, well, again, like the good thing that I did learn about some of the training I trained in Meisner is really like we do a thing called like a point of view exercise. So it's like, having this really strong committed point of view and making it, whether it's extremely racist point of view, it's like you just kind of endow it with something that you really believe, Yeah. And so I kind of like really I like that. I like kind of going into like a deep, and sometimes you access some dark things that are just there, and you kind
cathartic
of like, not to get too crazy, but about 4 or 5 years ago, I did this really cool independent horror film called Julia, and I was playing actually like a group of, like, we were med students, and ended up taking this girl, basically gang raping her. All right, so but we had to love it. And like I'm like, this is a really screwed up scene. I remember that night, and I kind of became the coach of the gang rape, and and the director, who's great, his name is Matthew Brown. He was like, guys, this is you gotta like. It was difficult for all of us to be doing this, but then I just kind of went like, no, this is great. We're I'm coaching these guys. This is awesome. We're gonna win. We're gonna do great, and like we really got into it. So, you just...
Well, it's kind of like you have to separate the fact, okay, I'm doing this for a role.
Yeah.
This is not me thinking, oh, hey, let's go reenact this on a Saturday night after we're having beers. You know what I mean?
Of course.
So there's a little double-edged sort of trying to get too into it, but knowing that it's a part.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, at this point, a white supremacist, you can turn on the television and watch the news, and sadly, you don't have to look very far in this day and age.
Yeah. And I think there's another thing about the Meisner training is it's a lot of fantasizing. It's again like his Meisner's basically calling card is living truthfully under imaginary circumstances. So you can go into that into something and it's a complete fantasy and just step out of it. You could think of like horrible. I've killed off my parents. I've killed off my sister, and all these things, but you step away from it and you're like, okay, it was just a fantasy. Where some other techniques, which I do use, but some other ones with kind of sense memory, like you're taking stuff from like real stuff that might be painful and might still kind of come up and screw you up a little bit.
Right.
So, you know.
The second part of the interview will be from Rikers. This is the real.
Yeah.
It's all coming out right now.
Yeah, right.
Don't see me again. No.
Yeah, totally right. No, come on. I'm not.
How do you get yourself out of that headspace? Like, are you one of those people that can easily turn it off and like cut and then okay, like that was awful, but yet it was my job and I'm good now? Or is it like, oh shit, this weighs on me?
I just head right to the bar.
No, I'm right behind you.
Yeah. Again, I think it's like I just kind of it takes a little time. It's not to sound like a dramatic person, but yeah, I'm usually pretty quick about it. I think, it takes a minute. Like there's been times where I had to come from an audition and then maybe go to like a bartending job, and I was kind of like, like it was kind of crazy. I was like, I can't deal with this energy right now. I have to take a minute. But again, like I think using that process, I'm able to kind of step away from it and. I really think you should. I think that's the healthy way. That's a healthy way to work.
And you did Blind Spot. You've done a couple other New York shows.
Yeah.
What were some of those experiences like for you?
Yeah, I mean Blind Spot. I did Person of Interest, Blacklist. Yeah, so I've done. So those were kind of those were good. All those shows that were kind of, I worked on those shows and maybe I did about scene here, scene there, and that was just really good on-set experience, especially working for network shows. They kind of move a bit quicker. But that was also just kind of playing around with what you could call a co-star role, which is about maybe like 5 to 10 lines, but making more of it. Look, there are really no small parts.
Right.
So kind of just working on little backstories for these characters just to make it a bit more interesting for me, because on Blind Spot, I'm at the computer trying to figure something out and help someone, but I kind of went into that audition, and again, I think that helps. That's probably what I got the role. I was kind of, I was basically, I'm giving information to one of the lead guys, but I made it as I'm like, it was a 12-hour day. I'm hungry. My wife's got dinner at home. I'm out the door. So I'm kind of like just adding a bit of subtext.
Yeah.
And I kind of play that, and I think like, oh, that's different, stuff like that. So those were really good experiences. Then I had a really good experience on Mr. Robot, which I did a few days on that, and that was just a really cool, a bit of a bigger part. And being a fan of the show, it was a bit surreal to like get, a job and be a fan of that. And the way that Sam Esmail shoots is very like cinematic. So that was an interesting way about like technical filmmaking, which is a whole other animal that I've been working on.
Did you kind of have the opportunity to go up to him and say, I'm grateful that I'm here as an actor, but there's a part of me that really wants to do what you're doing, and I am a filmmaker as well. Can I or is it?
I wish I did. No, I didn't, and I should have.
Well, it's hard. I mean,
I think
in a perfect world, you'd be like, oh yeah, sure, let me show you how we do things. Time is money, though.
I mean, honestly, I think now I would have done that, just because I feel like we have a love of cinema. We're both kind of cinephiles, and he really uses references. And I think, again, there was a part of me maybe a few years ago where I was just kind of happy to be there, and I didn't want to, and there was maybe a bit of, I don't want to say low self-esteem, but there wasn't that kind of confidence to be like, hey, I'm here, let's, and we worked together well, and he was very happy with my work. But I think there was a part of me that was like, just, let me just stay back. And
you're there on the job first. And it's like, this is really cool. Even just being in and observing everything is enough.
Exactly. And like, for whatever reason, I really felt like doing that episode, I felt like I was on a movie set. For there was like, we were in Long Island shooting in a big park, and like there was big shots. So I was like, okay, let me just kind of like, I definitely was watching, and the cast was great, very friendly, and I got to hang out with them. I didn't work with Rami Malek that day, but I worked with some other ones. And yeah, I did watch, and I think it geared me up for like the studio film that I ended up doing. That's coming out soon.
Which is
right
into it. 21 Bridges.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about your character and what's the premise and that kind of thing.
Sure. So the cool thing about 21 Bridges is it's really a modern day, action thriller on one hand, very practical effects, which growing up in the 80s and all that, I appreciate. I think there's a realism to that. But on the other hand, it's also a throwback, like almost an homage to kind of, I guess you could say like a ticking clock genre films like Escape from New York or like The Manchurian Candidate or like The French Connection, where it's like, okay, we got to get this done. We got to catch these guys by 6 before the sun rises. So there's like these So basically the plot centers around a drug bust that's gone wrong, and about 8 cops are killed. And Chadwick Boseman's character comes in to kind of remedy the situation, and his way of doing that is just closing all the 21 bridges and tunnels. It's not called 21 bridges and tunnels, but so he does that, and he's like, okay, we're gonna close all the bridges, and we're gonna just flood the island with the NYPD blue. So that's where my character comes in, because these men that were killed were part of my unit. So there's kind of these personal stakes that are involved. So I play Lieutenant Kelly, who is one of the top lieutenants under J.K. Simmons, who plays the captain. So we all.
Another actor no one's heard of.
Yeah, J.K. Simmons. Yeah, he might have like won an Oscar for one of those things. One of those, Farmers Insurance, maybe he won like a commercial.
Yeah, that's what.
He's the guy from the Farmers Insurance. Yeah, no, that was a cool thing. Whiplash is it was very cool to work with him and just hang out with him. But yeah, so basically he is kind of the second in command under Chadwick Boseman, and he's got me and some other people, and he's like, I'm gonna send you here. Let's get these guys. You go here. You go here. So Lieutenant Kelly was really cool because he was just like, he had personal stakes. He kind of had this to revenge his guys, and he's just kind of a go-getter. He's loyal, he's proactive. He's like he's running into the storm. And that was a cool character to play, because I think there's been moments in my life where I'm kind of doing that. So, but it was cool to like kind of play a badass cop who's just really loyal, and he's just really going to do whatever it takes to get it done.
Would you say that he has, so up to this point, been your favorite character you've played, or would that go to another project?
You know, I think I liked, I mean, there was definitely elements where I was like, this is cool. I really could see myself playing more characters like this. I want to say like one of the favorites was Mr. Robot, because again, and it was maybe partly because it was my niche. He played a cop who he basically ended up capturing like the most wanted man in the world, and he was kind of this random cop in New Jersey. So he kind of hit the jackpot, and he was like, wow. There was parts of me to play where it was like, okay, like I got this guy, and then I'm like, damn. And then I'm like, yo, I should get a selfie with you. Like, you know, no one's gonna believe this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, calm down, relax.
Right.
So I really liked kind of playing the juxtaposition of where, you know, so that was cool. I think Lieutenant Kelly it wasn't a flip side, but he was more of like, okay, there's this thing going on, and I'm gonna get it done. But I like that too. I think. Well, I don't want to give too much of the film away. Yeah. Because it's a cool.
People spend their money and go see what's going on.
Exactly. Yeah, before it becomes on streaming or whatever it is. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
But I mean, they still
as long as people see your work, right?
Well, I think again, this is a movie, and again, I'm not just saying this, but I do think it's a movie that you should see on the big screen, because it's got that old school kind of 80s action film feel, also almost like a David Mamet type script. It's kind of one of those movies that's like, you know, did you see Mad Max, the new one with Tom Hardy?
I did not.
Oh, no way, you gotta see that. Or even, did you see like Mission Impossible, the new one, Fallout?
With Henry Cavill?
Yeah. Okay. You know how it's kind of like, it's that's 21 Bridges. It's really like that movie where it's like it's got you going. It's like you get there and you go for the ride, and you're not really sitting. I don't think you're gonna be sitting back like, okay, it's kind of slow.
Oh yeah, right, what time is it?
Yeah, it's like, man, this movie's like an hour and 40. It feels like it's like a 3-hour movie. Like, you know. Yeah.
Well, that's good though, because there's a lot of, and I would assume Chadwick can speak to this and probably has, that, you know, a lot of the movies now are superhero based. Yeah. And it ends up being 3 hours of superheroes just running around, and there's a time and a place for that, and I know there's been a big controversy about it that has just come up, but it's also nice to go to the movies and see like a story and like you're describing what this movie is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, there is, again, with everything, you just gotta believe it, right? And obviously it all starts with the characters, and I think they do a good job of with all of the characters, each character in the film, even supporting players like myself. We have stuff going on, and there's layers, and there's you care about it, and you kind of are conflicted a bit with certain things. So, and then again, I think when you watch films, this film and too, like the action is believable, because again, as much as I appreciate CGI, and I think there's some great, and I thought Marvel did a great job with Thanos, and I think certain things, because you believe, you know, you see, but I do think there is something to like really feeling the depth and the weight of stuff and the practical effects that You know, and that's why I think Tom Cruise and the Mission Impossible movies and Mad Max and all that
Right.
did so well, just because of like that realism.
Yeah, it's hard to keep people's attention span for, like, you don't want the movie to be so short that it's like, oh shit, why did I just spend $20, $30 to come see a movie and have a popcorn?
Yeah.
But on the other end of the spectrum, it's like, okay, I don't want to have to move into the movie theater to watch it.
Sure.
So
and
it's
you
like,
want,
there's got to be a balance.
And people, I don't know. I mean, my bladder is pretty good, I guess. But yeah, you want to take a piss, or you know, sometimes like. Well, I love the. I heard The Irishman is like 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
And I think I might just have to wait to watch that in the comfort of my own home.
I'm with you. I'm a big DVD person.
Yeah, sure. I mean, why not? I mean,
I like to be able to pause and walk away for a minute.
And I'll be honest with you, again, I'm not shy about telling people to put their phones away. Mm-hmm. I did it the other day at a reading for a play. I did it in Los Angeles when I went to go see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This culture of this constantly checking your phone, especially during a film, or maybe even texting, mm-hmm. I'm pissed off about it.
And you see that in the theater too.
Yeah.
I mean, Jordan Sparks I saw today was on her Instagram story saying, like, we can see every time you take a phone out. Like, you might think you're being conspicuous about it, but the lights that are shining at you are bouncing off the phone, and it's like, just for 2 hours, like, let us do our job.
Exactly, and like, put it away, put your mind away, and look, we get texts, we get things. I can see if maybe there's something going on in the emergency, like either check it or leave. But it's true, like, I remember, and I probably would do the same thing. I think it was Hugh Jackman and Daniel Craig were doing a play, and Hugh Jackman was like, stopped. Put your phone, and then went right back into it. Yeah. And you might say, like, well, hey, he's an actor, he should just be able to just go for it. But I think it's something more than that. It's like,
it's disrespectful.
It's disrespectful. And I said that I leaned over to this woman, and again I was like, look, I'm an actor. This is very disrespectful. It's very disrespectful to them. I mean, can we, maybe.
They should be thankful it was Hugh and not Patti LuPone. She doesn't suffer fools. Hugh Jackman was probably a lot nicer than she would have been. Sure. And for good reason, though.
Yeah.
You're pouring, like, this is your livelihood. This is your job.
Yeah.
You put a lot of work into your character.
Yeah.
For somebody to be on their phone, like,
if
you can't commit this 2 hours to watching this, barring an emergency, like you said, then maybe you shouldn't be here, and you're ruining it for everyone around you.
Yeah, it is
because
distracting.
Everybody's seeing you move and this and that with the phone, and then like, oh, well, now I can see the light, and you're trying to do this to hide it, but now you're shining the light. Somebody, if you're that tethered to your phone, maybe you should stay home or watch it on your phone.
There you go.
When it comes on Netflix.
yeah. So I don't know.
Well, as for you, as a filmmaker, do you does it kind of give you a sense of pause because now people are consuming their entertainment in that way? Like, if somebody who's watching 21 Bridges on a phone is not going to get the same experience as someone watching it in a movie theater.
Of course.
And do you think of that as a filmmaker?
Yeah, I do sometimes. I mean, my favorite director was David Lynch. Mm-hmm. He kind of influenced a lot. He's a real auteur. Mm-hmm. And I remember hearing him say something about this about 3 or 4 years ago, about, like, you're not going to get this experience. You can't watch my movies. It's not going to be the same thing. I do struggle with, because I don't watch any. I mean, look, I'll watch certain things on YouTube on my phone here and there. It's not. It's like countdown lists,
right?
Or kind of like random, like how to cook nachos in a fire pit.
Yeah. You don't need that to be in high def on a 58.
Well, yeah. Then I probably exactly. I think it's. I know what you're saying.
Do you think people have to adapt the way they make films for that?
I don't think they should. Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. I think that if they want to watch it on the phone, I think. And if it entertains them, if they're happy with that, great. But I think, like, there should be something like, look, you're going to enjoy it even more. And it's just, it's like re-microwaving. Like, I don't know. It's something like that.
I completely. Yeah. Well, you're coming at it from an artist's point of view. You're not coming at it from, say, oh, well, hey, if he wants me to see his movie, this is the 2 hours I have while I'm coming from Jersey to New York. This is where I'm going to watch it. It's like, it's a fair argument on both sides, but you're coming as an artist who's either in the film or making the film, like, okay, well, you're just sitting here on a train. Are you paying attention to the movie? Like, you're going to be losing, like, nuances that you had either put into your character or put into a certain shot, that kind of thing.
And again, I'm a little crazy sometimes with certain things, like even with, like, shows, like, they're like certain shows even on HBO, like I'm watching now, like Watchmen and His Dark Materials, and like if I need to watch it on like my like a certain size TV. You know what I mean? But that's just me. But I think, again, I think it's about maybe just like having the best experience of in life. Like, why not like make like every experience like maybe the best if you can.
Right, absolutely. I agree with you.
So, but again, like if someone came up to me and was like, oh man, I watched 21 Bridges on my iPhone through my commute and like I was so entertained, great job. I'm like, you watched it on your, I'm not gonna be like, you watched it on your iPhone?
Yeah, like fuck you, I don't even want to talk to you. And you were worried about cursing and I was the one that talked.
Yeah.
There you go, the floor's open now.
Yeah. But no, I agree.
Yeah, Darren, thank you so much for taking the time to meet up with me. It's fantastic. Can't wait to see the movie.
Thank you so much for
having me.
And I look
forward to seeing what you got coming up next.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Darren.
Thank you.